Hello, everyone, and welcome to a fantastic episode of Was That in Good Taste? We got a lot of good stuff for you prepared today, but first, I'm going to be one of your hosts, and my name is going to be Chandler Phillips, and with me, as always, is the other one of your hosts.
Just call me James.
And remember to like, comment, and subscribe so that you can catch up on all the dirty details of Was That in Good Taste has to offer. James?
Oh man.
I don't think I've told you this year yet, but happy Black History Month.
Oh shit. It is Black History Month. Or it was Black History Month. Yeah.
You know where it's always Black History Month?
Where?
Right in here.
I completely forgot it was Black
Right in here.
I'm not gonna lie, something about the, peeling back of freedoms and the ending of DEI and the mass firing of people across the government, including primarily like women and people of color. I might have forgotten it was Black History Month.
Yeah, it kind of put a dampener on the 'tis the season part of Black History Month, but that's okay because I made sure to do reparations this month.
Did you really?
Well, I mean, I got you this bottle of gin.
Oh my God.
And I feel like that's doing at least a fraction of what's owed. Look, I know it's not 40 acres and a mule, but it's a bottle of gin.
40 acres and a mule.
Not a 40 ounce and a pit bull. Bullshit. Matador.
Hey, this is the white guy. He's like, listen, I like hip hop. It's like, whoa, that Kendrick Lamar concert, that Kendrick Lamar Super Bowl show was really good.
Wow, did you guys see it? Did you guys see how like Kendrick told Drake that he wasn't black enough? That was, oh my God. Don't you wish you could also say that to Drake? Because
You know what, Chandler? We have the platform here. Please do tell Drake. Tell Drake that he is not black enough.
Look, if there's one person who is the arbiter of blackness, it's a Jewish kid from the suburbs.
I have here for Mr. Arbery Graham a message from one Chandler Phillips. Chandler?
Hey man, just kind of cool it with like being weird to young and underage girls. Like that's the really main criticism. You can keep being a soft boy, but just like don't be fucking weird, dude.
Black people, let me translate that for you. Drake, damn. Oh, you're weird, bro. Why you was hanging out with those fucking kids? Yo, I'm not gonna lie, you kind of act like you're white. That's fucking weird,
That's
bro.
Weird, dude.
Bro. He has his own black white to black translator. Hi there, I'm Chandler Phillips. Yo, what's good, my nigga? I'm Chandler.
I feel like still, I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that.
Yeah. He's like, we need to move off.
It's weird how many white people now feel so confident in telling Drake that he's not black enough, and that's the weird part. That's the weird.
Well, it's either
part.
that Drake is not black or a pedophile. I think the song Kendrick is smart. It covers all the bases. Okay,
Yeah.
It's like, hey Drake,
I hate you like I'm young.
I see you like them young, right?
Oh,
Right. I see you like them young because he's a pedophile, right? But he's not like us. They're not like us. He's not black enough.
Wait. It's not just about class conflict?
Oh, I mean, there was an American flag there.
What?
I don't know if you know this, but Kendrick Lamar is the arbiter of he's the single sole arbiter of black culture. So Black History Month goes to you, Mr. Kendrick Lamar. In the future, white conservatives are going to be referencing your Not Like Us Super Bowl special. It's like, Kendrick, he said they're not like us, so we have to kick them out of the country.
and by they, we mean Canadians, and that's why we're currently at war with them.
Yeah, we're gonna send them back to Greenland. That's where they came from originally.
Oh God, I'm not looking forward to this next season of America, the sitcom.
You know what? Me either. That's why I'm really looking forward to this Fear City gin.
It's a fantastic gin. Locally
Fear City,
made.
bitch. Fear City, bitch.
Tin, tin. Fear City Gin, brought to us by Fear City Gin Spirits Company. They are based out of Long Island, and this particular gin has a couple fun botanicals that you don't necessarily see in a lot of other gins. It's not the super most junipery like you would expect from a London Dry, but it's tapered back a little bit like your typical American gin, featuring such botanicals as
Angelica.
white sage,
Juniper.
sugar kelp.
God damn it! You picked some of the best ones. There's another flower. I don't remember.
Coriander.
Oh shit! Oh yeah, it was coriander.
There's
Not
another one.
marjoram.
You already said
Coriander,
Angelica.
Angelica, which is in the same family. Coriander. There's another potash. Cumin. I don't. What the? No, I know it's not. What's the other?
Cardamom.
Cardamom. I did say pod
You did.
because I was thinking of the cardamom pods. Yeah,
That's true. You
this
were
is
thinking of
delicious. This is delectable. This is junipery.
And in
is
this floral, like apothecary bottle, that's pretty sweet.
plastic cork, but it's kind of nice. It's kind of cute. It's kind of ridged, easy to grab. This is really attractive. This might actually stand the bar for like some kind of maybe something. This is nice for water. Maybe this is cute.
Okay, can I tell you something that I was actually trying to keep kind of secret?
Oh, here we go.
But now, only because it was revealed to me by the rep. This top part is actually not plastic.
No way. What is it? Can I guess?
Yeah.
Is this like shell? Is this
Oh, close.
coral?
It's harvested whale ivory.
No fucking way. Wow, that's fucking terrible. Actually.
Well, no, but it's sorry. When I say harvest, I mean it's like they got it from washed up whale.
Yeah. Sure. That's crazy. You know what? That explains it. Because at first I thought it was like glass, or I thought it was like coral.
It's
because I
kinda
felt like it was
heft-
shell, but then I just assumed it was plastic. Because how much was this?
it retails about $40.
That's what I'm saying. How is that? This is a $40 bottle. This is like cheaper than plastic to put on this. Cheaper than glass.
It's a cool bottle. I think they.
That's what I'm saying. How? Unethical.
know.
They slayed the whales themselves.
I think they harvested the floating whale carcasses.
You think there's any ambergris on there? So what do we make with this?
We made kind
I'm
of.
kind of mad about that a little bit though. I'm a little mad. I'm sorry.
I didn't mean to keep it from you. It was a cool gin, and
But it is
you-
cool though.
I wanted you to try a cool gin, but I knew it wasn't ethical. But like, there is no ethical
I
consumption.
mean, we're gonna. Oh yeah, there we go with that shit. Yeah, this. I don't know. I actually don't know. I guess. I mean, the whale was already dead, right?
the whale was already dead.
The whale. It was already dead.
It was dead when I got there. I swear.
You walk up there, cut to the beach, walk up to the whale. The whale is barely alive. Some fucking poor worker just has to fucking put the whale down. Okay, yeah. I like a little blood soaked gin. What do we make? What do we make with the? Listen, how you gonna fucking tell me that story? You don't think I'm gonna?
No,
fucking,
I knew
gonna bring to like you imagine
In
the sad eye of the whale looking at you.
The whale was
This
dead.
is what
The-
you made.
The eye had already rotted out of its socket. It was one of two things: either explode it like they did in Oregon, or just fucking harvest the bones. Anywho,
It's vegan to reuse the bones of a beached whale that passes away.
is it? I'll take it.
I speak for all vegans.
Do you speak for the whales?
I do.
All right. So what we're drinking today is a variation of a cocktail known as the Dorchester. as they say in some regions.
Georgia
Georgia. At first glance, this cocktail created by Eric Adkins for the eternally popular Slanted Door restaurant in San Francisco seems like a cross between a Hemingway daiquiri and a Last Word, but alas, it's none of those things.
So it's not even.
It's not even what I just said it was. It's a variation and drastic interpretation.
So he deserves no credit.
So traditionally, what you would expect in a Dorchester is you would have gin and you would have Luxardo maraschino liqueur and then lime juice, freshly squeezed, and then a little bit of grapefruit juice, also freshly squeezed, along with just a slurp of simple syrup.
Ooh.
And so we didn't have all these ingredients. Instead, we had gin. We did have a maraschino liqueur. We did have some lime juice.
It was Luxardo as well. No, it wasn't Luxardo.
No,
it was
it
actual. It was not.
It was Kirschwasser.
Yeah, it was Kirschwasser. Yeah.
But you know what? We said, you know what, Kirschwasser? If we're not doing this legit, you can quit. And so instead of maraschino liqueur, we opted for actually one of our fan favorites here as what at the Was That and Good Taste bar, which is lychee liqueur.
Which is honestly one of my favorites. I'm a big lychee person. And the moment that I tasted this gin, this Fear City gin,
Fear City,
something about it kind of reminded me of lychee. But when we spoke about it, I didn't mention that in my flavoring, my tasting notes, which was sage, juniper, with a little bit of kind of a creamy sweetness. Yeah. But it did remind me of lychee, but I didn't mention it because I knew that's not what the flavor was.
Because it's more floral sweetness than it is tart. I think we were both talking back and forth about how it almost has like a sugary blossom kind of vibe to it. And I think, honestly, that's partially the doing of the sugar kelp, which is naturally harvested out of the Long Island Sound, the northern part of it. And it gives it kind of this slightly briny, salinic quality while still bolstering its sweetness so that it's not super herbal, but it's got just a hint of those like light herbaceous notes while still having a little bit of that like slightly sweet, salty kind of vibe going on.
I feel like that really works, especially because it's like a little bit of a salinity to it.
The salinity and the lychee just
absolutely, and then
right together.
Instead of simple syrup, we used actually Demerara sugar cubes.
Yeah,
and I think that actually has done quite a lot.
Right? Oh, it did a whole lot of heavy lifting.
Yeah. There's something about it that's like a little earthy. It's sweet. It's grounded, and it's allowing the brightness, the salinity, and the tartness of this cocktail to be all up in my face, and I appreciate it. This is a weekly special, maybe like a Tuesday or a Thursday.
Fear City. Yeah, I think when the tides are good and the fear rises through the city and the moon is in the second house and Mercury aligns with Mars, then we are in the dawning of the age of a gin. I think we are actually about to hit gin season because spring is notoriously gin season.
Every season is gin season.
Hell yeah, baby! But we just got out of a whiskey season.
Absolutely.
We were doing a lot of whiskeys for a bit. We were also doing a lot of rums. I think if I were to assign the seasons spiritually, spring is gin and probably some other like fun dark liquor like a cognac.
Oh, I could see that. Oh yeah, cognac is totally spring.
Summer's for tequila. Sorry, baby.
Tequila and pink wines.
Oh yeah,
it's a pink wine
or orange wines. Orange wines are more autumnal.
Yeah, I'm about to say that's more fall.
Yeah. Winter has been spiced or mulled wines and heavy dark rye whiskeys. I think we've been really fucking with the fun barrel aged rye whiskeys. Bourbon, that's an anytime drink.
Yeah. Bourbon is all day, every day. Come on.
Bourbon, you wake up in the morning, you go to bed, you have a little hunger pains in the middle.
Oh yeah, that sounds healthy. I'm gonna be honest. I just woke up. Let me just have a quick sip of whiskey. Well, now that I've gone for my walk, let me have a quick sip of whiskey. I've taken 2 bites of my breakfast. Let me have a quick sip of whiskey.
I take 2 shots in the morning, and I take 2 shots at night.
I take 2 shots in the afternoon,
and it makes me feel all right.
Take 2 shots in times of peace,
and 2 more in times of war.
I take 2 shots before I take 2 shots,
and then I take 2 more. Everybody!
Oh yeah.
I said a ho, a tell, a mo, a tell. Oh, what we gonna do today? Say what?
People love sitting here like talking about Sublime. Listen, we're taking every piece of joy we can out of the world.
We're just squeezing it out.
Fear City. The minute that I heard Fear City, the first thing that popped into my mind. The minute I heard Fear City,
you thought Amityville, right?
The first thing that popped into my mind was New York City.
New York City?
Because people are afraid. They're terrified. If you talk to somebody not from New York, they'll tell you dangerous, bad, scary things are happening in the streets at all times.
It is kind of wild. People are like, wow, you live in New York? Aren't you like worried?
It's because they see TikToks of like a person who's mentally ill. It's because a mentally ill man gets murdered on the train. Or you see TikToks of one homeless person like being like standing in the corner shaking, not bothering anybody. So everybody thinks that New York is where you're going to get robbed and assaulted and bad things are going to happen to you all the time.
Now, I will say that one of my roommates, who is a tad bit newer to the city, has had a particularly rough go of acclimating to being in New York on account of remember how last summer there was like a series of assaults where women were just getting hit in the face.
Oh yes, I do remember that.
Where people would it was particularly like one person.
Oh yeah,
there were a couple of copycats.
It was the guy. What was his name? Marcus Garvey's grandson.
Was it really?
That's not really who he is, but that's what he calls himself.
Wow.
He got caught. Marcus Garvey's grandson. Yeah, that guy.
Where they were just going and they'd like just run up and like smack a woman in the face and then just run off.
He was punching women, yeah.
So yeah, my roommate did get hit in the face while just walking home from work. And there was another instance where they had been like followed almost to our apartment. There was another instance where someone had flashed a gun at them. Most recently, they were walking to work and then had texted our group chat and said, yo, there's some crazy thing going on outside my building. I think there was like some sort of either shooting or something that had happened. But there were like police and police tape and like little evidence tacks all over. Come to find out, the police were also like putting a sheet over someone. This was at Penn, kind of near Penn Station, but I don't think it was at the station itself. Turns out what had happened was at her building, someone had jumped.
Oh, wow.
There was a jumper. And then in a unrelated circumstance, there was a shooting at police personnel. So she was walking into work. Police were like scrambling to catch the shooter and to cover what was going on with the recently deceased.
Wow.
So just a whole lot of moving parts. All this to say, New York is still crazy.
But it's weird because it's kind of worse because things have changed. Honestly, since COVID.
You think COVID's been the...
Haha, you've been suckered. We're talking about fucking COVID. Yeah,
COVID
New York is absolutely fucking different. Obviously, I'm from here. I was born here, and you're from the West Coast, but you came here about a year and a half right before the pandemic happened.
And it's true. This past month has marked my official 5th year of living in New York.
Oh yeah, you're not going anywhere now.
I'm stuck.
For a little while, I thought he was gonna leave, but that's it. Game over. He's not going anywhere.
Yep, we didn't make something of ourselves in 5 years, so I guess we just gotta keep trying.
The city has changed a lot.
The city has changed a lot, and I realize that coming from my point of view, that's like, oh man, things aren't the same as when they were 5 years ago when I just got here and was still learning how things were. But even I know with my plebeian observations, it's not like I do comedy or observational comedy at any point and kind of take note of the
What
world
about
around.
the city? What about COVID?
Hey, what's up with these subway times, huh?
It's like they're zombies. It's like they're zombies walking around coughing, wearing masks. Is it the end of the world? Is it the end of the world? No respect, I tell you, no respect.
I tell you, hey, I sit there and I'm waiting for the bus, and the bus will drive right by with a big sign that says "Not in service." And I said, "Hey, what's a guy got to suck to service me around here?"
You were here for so briefly, but I remember very distinctly before the pandemic riding the train with you,
I was nervous.
and the train was crowded.
Train was crowded, and that was the A train, the blue line.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God.
Is that something New York?
Gotta explain to people.
I gotta let them know. That's like the main. I feel like that's one of the main ones that goes through.
Oh my God, you're saying that to people who take the 7, which is one of the highest volume trains, or the 1, which is one of the highest volume trains, or the 2, which is one of the highest volume trains,
So
or
wait,
the 3,
you're gonna tell me,
or the 4,
the blue line, the red line, and then the purple line that
green,
has
purple.
that's the 7, isn't it?
Oh, I also mentioned the 4 and 5
Oh, I ignore those ones.
because he doesn't want to go to the Bronx. Fucking racist.
Fuck the Yankees. Am I right? I've been here long enough to now know that I am a Mets fan for life, baby.
The train, I think, is a good example, mainly because I remember very distinctly the very first time that we took the train together, and then the first time you came by yourself, and it was literally one train and straight.
Yep.
Right. But I remember getting on the train with you and it being crowded, and it being crowded at an off-peak time, which is less likely now because less people ride the train.
It's true.
The pandemic actually, I think, shaped a lot of who I am, but also mainly because the pandemic shifted a lot about who I am, because the city that we live in right now, which is New York City, changed a lot.
So it changed your relationship not only to your immediate community, but to the larger community of the city.
Absolutely. My anxiety, for example, is much higher than it was before, because in addition to there being very real health concerns, I spent a large portion of 3 years not going outside or being isolated away from other people, right? So like while there are some places like in Times Square currently, it's a little bit more crowded. When we first met, Times Square was busy.
Yeah.
But very shortly after that, it was empty.
There was a time where I had left here and I had taken the train at like 1 a.m. back to my apartment, which was in Hell's Kitchen, which was only like 2 blocks away from Times Square. I could watch the ball drop from my rooftop.
Mm-hmm.
And I got off the train, and you could play a game of ultimate frisbee in Times Square. It was that empty. I didn't because I didn't have any friends to play ultimate with, but we could have if you guys would have gotten here during the most dangerous time to be. That's the other thing. It wasn't just that like New York had kind of shut down. It was for a while the toxic waste site
outside of Italy, yeah.
Yeah, it was the epicenter of COVID case. That was crazy.
Which is why when people look at me when I wear a mask, I'm sorry that I wear a mask. But not only is there real health concerns, you have to remember we're in a very big city with lots and lots and lots and lots of people.
It's kind of like, now this might be a bit of a stretch, but it's kind of like if 9/11 took place over the course of like 8 months initially, and then kept happening, and then like we saw the immediate like what was it, emphysema, and what are the
Oh
other,
yeah.
all the other things that are like the fallout of all of the asbestos that was in the air, because it was just like, because it was such a slow creep of catastrophe, that like that drained the psyche of the city.
Oh, absolutely. That's one of the reasons why everything is like so complicated now, because it's not like things just go away. You, especially if you live in a big city with lots of people breathing on you, and it can get pretty close. But like, it's exhausting because every time you go outside, stuff is happening. People are unfortunately perishing, and you have to figure out how to like exist. And it's interesting because right before the pandemic, we spent a lot of time together, but like way more time after. But before, when we first started spending time together, we didn't go out. And that was when everything was open late. I used to go to your house, and we can go to the store in the corner, on both corners,
Yep.
that were open forever, right? But like the pandemic happened, the very store that was on your block was the only one that was open 24 hours.
Yeah.
Every other store
Everywhere else shut down
started to close early
by like 8
and earlier. And then the trains. Because you came here, and I remember you having to leave early because the train stopped running at 10 p.m.
That's crazy.
Do you remember that?
I remember. I was there.
The train started closing
The
at
memory's
10
a bit
p.m.
the memory's a bit fuzzy, but I recall.
Doesn't it feel different now?
It,
a little bit?
It feels like people will be like, "Oh, the city's finally bounced back." The trauma's still there.
Yeah, it's obvious, right? It seems silly because the train is running 24 hours again, but the train is running less frequently. 5 years ago, if you went to a store,
it was pretty much, if you go to the corner store, it was pretty much guaranteed that they'd still be open. Also, what's been similarly is the amount of turnover of stores that I've noted, of like restaurants, and I know like everything's gonna ebb and flow, but just the amount of things that I'm like, oh, I've gotten used to going to this place. This is going to be my regular place. And as soon as I feel like I make that distinction in my head where I'm like, oh, this is going to be my cool regular spot, within like 3 weeks, it's gone.
it's so, yes.
That's happened like 4 times now.
Very interesting.
Like I've made the out loud distinction where I'm like, this is a cool spot. I'm going to come here regularly. Couple weeks passed, donezo.
It's so interesting because obviously, like, that's not something that's new in a big city like New York, right? But in the last 5 years, especially, it's been accelerated. Like places that'd be around for 5 years, suddenly around for 1.
Yeah. And it's just the quick turn. And you see some places now that open up and you're like, oh, that's cute. You're going to be here like 3 years and then we'll see what takes your place.
It's so wild because it wasn't like that. And I'm not saying that, like, places didn't turn around. A big city, places change, places turn around. But, one thing about New York that's very special, that makes New York distinct from places like Philadelphia or even many big cities in California, is that New York has a very distinct personality, neighborhood by neighborhood. Right?
Yeah.
That's something that's very special about New York. And some people will be like, well, yeah, it started to fade in the 90s. It started to fade in the early 2000s. Oh, it started to fade in the 80s. No. Since 2020, what has happened to the city is probably one of the largest instances of migration in and out of the city.
Would you say, I'm sorry.
No.
Would you say there's almost like a homogenization And I feel like it has less to do with gentrification. It's still or like kind of a side effect of it, but a homogenization where these individual neighborhoods seem to kind of lose their identities as they kind of have this business turnover, and as some of the places that used to be kind of like institutions with like, you got your places that all the old heads would go to and everyone knows each other, and you'd walk in and like there's a dude just like chatting up the dude at the cash register, and the dude are like whoever already bought their bacon, egg, and cheese like 40 minutes ago, but now they're just shooting the shit. And like I feel like that element has kind of been diminished. It's not gone yet.
I mean, yeah. There's a place right on the corner near the train station here that I used to go to all the time that I took you to that is not there anymore. And they moved to the middle of the block. Why did that happen? It's because during the pandemic, right? Just in case you don't know how like being a landlord works, is you go to the bank, right? You get a loan, you rent a building, you rent it out. The building does well. You go back to the bank. You're like, look, I can rent out a place. Look, I can make income. The bank lends you more money that you don't have. You buy another building. You rent the building out to tenants. But when something like a pandemic happens and businesses make actually not that much less, but they make less.
But they have to, and not only are they making less, but now they have to kind of pay their employees a little bit more.
Yeah, and the employees are doing more.
Or the cost of goods go up just a little bit, just enough.
The owner wants their money because they need it. Because unfortunately for them, they borrowed money from the bank. And so the bank says, I need your money. So the landlord kicks people out and tries to get a new tenant.
Or sometimes it's not even the bank that's like, hey, we need our money. It's, the property tax on this place that you got. It used to be at a certain level, but now there's been so much just goings on of landlords buying up blocks and stuff, where now the property tax, because not I'm bringing it back to you're the landlord.
Yep.
You buy your building, you rent it out to tenants. You go to the bank, you borrow more money. You buy another building, you rent it out to tenants. You go to the bank, you borrow more money. You buy another building. Now you own a block of buildings, and you only let in tenants that you're really confident will pay the raised prices that you want to, because you're trying to make your nut.
Of course, you're trying to make that little bit of money,
and it's actually kind of detrimental to your bottom line if you let the people who have been there for decades stay there, because then you can't really, make improvements to the building, or you can't like change the floor plans to
make improvements, aka pocket the majority of the money that you can while doing as little work as actually possible.
And you can't bribe city officials to like give you the permits to make improvements that actually aren't up to code,
unless you're Eric Adams. The turkey.
Oh, wow. So when I got here, Bloomberg was the mayor, right?
Yeah, it was right before you got here, right before Eric Adams.
I got here. Bloomberg was the mayor, and Big Daddy Cuomo was the governor,
yeah.
right? And so now we got Eric Adams is the mayor. Who's the governor?
Oh, it's Kathy Hochul, who was the temporary replacement for Andrew Cuomo originally, but she ended up winning. People hate her. She's fine, actually. I was kind of rough on her. She's actually fine. She's just a regular kind of like a what do you call it? Like a neoliberal kind of person. Okay. But like,
it's interesting how I've kind of seen a whole regime change in New York City since I've been here.
I mean, since you've been here, you've seen Trump, but at the end,
Yeah, I got here at the tail end of
Biden,
yeah.
and now
God, I am so fucking pissed.
Trump again.
I okay, I'm pissed about that, but I'm so pissed that I missed the Biden inauguration party or the Biden.
Oh, you weren't here. Oh,
I was here. I was here. I was at work.
Oh yeah,
and I just wasn't there for the hullabaloo that was everyone fucking partying in the streets
shit.
when
You were still in Manhattan at the time.
Yeah.
Man, I was riding on my bike playing fucking fuck Donald Trump and fucking like fuck Donald Trump, riding my bike. It's like next to Spike Lee's studio with huge parties of black people. And I remember riding there and kind of being led up a little bit like, yeah, you know what? Maybe things are going to be okay. Maybe things are going to be okay. I was wearing my face mask, riding my bike, but people were there. And I was like, you know what? I feel safe right now because everybody who was there, those people, I thought to myself, these people are not wearing their masks, or they're wearing their masks, but they're kind of down a little bit because they always wear their masks. Right now, I'm safe because I knew in that moment that society was okay.
Like, hey, they might not be wearing their masks, but I'll catch what they got because they're down with it.
Because they're always wearing their masks.
Exactly.
It was in a safe space. I thought that the world was okay. I remember waking up the day that they announced that Biden won. And I remember waking up to people screaming in the streets. And I remember I jerked awake and I was like, what the fuck? I went to bed not sure.
That's how I usually wake up.
I went to bed anxious and unsure. And I woke up and I heard noises and I was like, what? And I went outside.
You heard the pots and pans clanging?
We're literally fucking cheering. And I remember being outside and I remember fucking being so elated. It was the pandemic. Everybody was far apart. There was a couple wearing face masks with their baby and they were standing on the corner. Everybody was hooping and hollering. I was here.
Where was I? Because I was here. It was in November.
I think you were still living in Manhattan.
Yeah.
You might have just been asleep because you be sleeping late.
That's
you slept through.
That's true. During the pandemic, I'm still trying to fix my sleep schedule from that. I'm so dude. This past week, I've been trying to consistently wake up at like 9. Oh my god. Yeah. No one has ever struggled the way I have struggled.
I just remember you
with waking up before 10 a.m.
I remember you fucking literally not showing up to work and me being like, no, and fucking calling you and you fucking overslept.
Well, by that was one time. That was one time. But there was
one time you were late a few times. But you overslept that one time.
I overslept that one time. But also, fuck that job. Because fuck Mitch. I'm sorry, straight up.
Fuck Mitch.
Fuck Mitch. Hey, Mitch. Listen. When you're paying someone under the table minimum wage and even less than that, you can't brag about having a $14,000 fishing rod that you accidentally broke because you weren't able to go to the marina this weekend. Fuck you.
I'm pretty sure the pandemic actually broke him. I'm glad.
Good.
I'm fucking glad.
What if he listens? What if his kid listens to this?
No way. I definitely right before the pandemic is when the big blackout happened in Manhattan.
Oh, yeah.
And here's the thing that's so different about the city. Is like that happened. And I remember, and I think this is different because you experienced it. When you're in New York and you're in a neighborhood, people really do kind of pull together a little bit and feel like a neighborhood.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like people.
There was a sense where I was like, this is almost kind of like block party vibes.
Yeah. Some cops were like directing traffic, but there were strangers, people from the neighborhood who had their own vests out on the street directing traffic because the street lights weren't working.
You know what was kind of wild, though, about that particular instance was I remember distinctly, because I was still at the liquor store, and there was this one dude who he's a regular, and he would always come by and he would always get the same bottle of thing. But this one time, we were just like, hey, because of the uneasy or the unevenness of the floor of the store, because there's no lights on right now, because all of our systems are down, we're closed for business for the time being. And he cussed me out because he could not get his like $10.99 bottle of Chardonnay for that evening. And I think that was one of the most eye-opening experiences having lived here, was like, listen, you have friends and you have community and you have like the people that you see on a regular basis. But that is a Venn diagram that does not fully overlap.
Oh yeah.
Just because you see people every day and you're friendly with them on the terms in which they adjudicate does not mean that we are always friends.
Didn't you? This is very interesting. When that happened, did you not feel kind of that sense of community? Because we knew each other, but not that well yet, right? And I was working at the restaurant / craft beer shop, and you were working at the liquor store. We closed the beer shop, and I came over there, and we were just hanging out in there. Honestly, like, you were working, but like then we were there actually past when you were supposed to work, and we just hung out and sold people in the neighborhood liquor for cash. Because there's something special about New York in which, and this is why I think people have an issue with different neighborhoods in different big cities. When you're in New York, you work in a store in a neighborhood, you're like part of the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Like, yes, we were being exploited, okay?
Yeah.
We should have just been able to go home and close the store, but I didn't want to, and you didn't want to. We stayed there
for a little while
of
longer.
our own free will for a long time.
And then Larry came by and he was just like, "Oh, I'm just gonna get my regular thing," and we're like, "Hey, we just can't let you in." And it wasn't even that we denied selling him the bottle. It was he was so irate over the fact that he couldn't just go in the store.
Oh yeah, it was one person that we were either getting people their thing,
actually
or letting them in one at a time.
Sorry, because there is someone who's actually named. I was using an ambiguous name because his name wasn't actually Larry, but there was
It was Peter.
Yeah, we'll say Peter, because the actual Larry was a great fucking guy. And I'm sorry, like the for real Larry, who was a regular at that shop, fucking great guy. And he was totally understanding, and he was like, "Oh, all right, I'll see you guys in the morning." And da 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 da. Like, do you remember Larry, the kind of bald, a little bit shorter, kind of stout looking dude?
What was his thing?
Oh, usually it was a Pinot Grigio.
No. How did he behave?
Oh, he was a family man.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
He was always talking about like, "Oh, my daughter's doing like da 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 for the science fair or whatever." About. And he kind of had a Wallace Shawn vibe about him, or like the dude who says "inconceivable" from the Princess Bride. That Larry, fucking great guy. Peter. Oh, he'd always come in, and it would be like this. It was very routine, but you would get your thing to. All we said to Peter was just, "Hey, we can't let you in the shop." And he's like, "This is bullshit. This is fuck you guys. I am here every day." And we're like, whoa. We didn't even get to the part where we're like, we can do a cash transaction. We didn't even get to the just let us know what you want and we can go to. None of that. He just immediately jumped to fuck you. And we're just like, dude, you're like 70 years old. Chill, or you're going to like get hypertension or something.
Blew my fucking mind. I just remembered me playing like security guard.
Yeah.
Like people kept wanting to come in, and it was like literally is like, do you know what you want? If you know what you want, we'll get it. You can only pay in cash or one person at a time.
Yeah, that was the whole thing. And it was only because it was dark in there and the floors were uneven. And if anyone, especially an elderly person, were to trip and hurt themselves, the business would be liable. That's it. That's the whole thing.
Damn. In hindsight, I regret doing the free labor because fucking Mitch, you know, like he was enjoying it. And here's the thing. I get it because he's also from New York. New Yorkers know If something happened right now, there was a blackout in like 2003. When that happened, I lived in the Bronx. People always go, "Oh, the Bronx is dangerous." People were sitting in the hallways, patrolling. Everybody did that. We all had our turn. We all went out in front of the building, had a barbecue. New Yorkers get their shit together when there's a thing, but there's always some motherfucker who owns a business who wants to exploit the fucking
Just
people.
trying to extract.
Fuck you, Mitch.
Well, and I think separate from it, because there's always like the person who is a New Yorker who owns the business, who is just kind of doing it in like all right, what can I get from this situation? But I think aside from, the financial instability and the displacement, one of the things that I have witnessed as a result of gentrification is just this general lack of community within these transient spots. And that's one of the reasons I'm so grateful for the neighborhood I'm in now and for the building that I'm in now, because, we might have our building drama, but there is a group chat for the tenants that we can all communicate within. We're all, for the most part, in communication with not only our building, but our immediate neighboring buildings. And granted, it's because of the legal issues and processes that we've had with our landlord, but we're now also affiliated and in communication with all of the other buildings that he has ever owned that are also in Crown Heights. And so
I'm not surprised, because I feel like one thing about New York that people don't understand or respect is that for a city that's so populous, it's actually pretty dense, right? Which means that this building I'm in, for example, people lived here for a long time, but most of them have left. The people who still live here in community with them, if you stay here for more than a year, then immediately you start to be built into the community.
And I think that's one of the key distinctions between gentrifiers and, I guess, transplants. Is gentrifiers, which I know they kind of say, and you'll speak on it. You'll speak on it. But I think gentrifiers come in and make the community kind of suit their needs, or they'll bring in a certain energy, a certain je ne sais quoi that alters the general vibe of a neighborhood to kind of homogenize it in this like yuppie kind of vibe. And transplants are still plants. Like in that, like transplants, they might not be from here, but they're still making roots and they're still trying to ingratiate themselves in the ecosystem that already exists.
I like to yes and, but I'm not going to right now.
Come
I'm
on.
going to do the opposite. Now,
Come on, make me feel good.
we got 8 minutes.
All right.
Right. We got 8 minutes left. I'm going to try to make it as succinct as possible. Gentrification is not done by individuals. It's capitalism. Gentrification is not done by individuals looking for a place to live. It's done by people who want to exploit you and take as much from you as possible. So what they do is they don't mean to price people out of the neighborhood. They just want to extract as much value from somebody who can pay more than the person who lives there now. It is not intrinsically the fault of the person who is coming there. While yes, gentrification is bad, gentrification is not, and yes, people can be classless and annoying and boring and ruin neighborhoods by their carelessness, but that's more up to individualism and people. Gentrification is systemic, and it's businesses and people doing it on purpose. They do it because they want more money, whether or not it's other capitalist forces that they are in debt to, because the system is built up for you to want to have a dream of owning a bunch of people who do labor for you and you just earn passive income, right? But if you do that and it doesn't turn out well, now you need to extract as much value from the people under you as possible.
Hey,
and that's going to happen.
If it ain't me, it's someone else.
That's the fucking reality. And so I think that people who come, especially like the New York to black neighborhoods who come in, they feel a thing. They feel like, I'm taking up all the space. And it's like, you're actually not solely doing it by yourself. You are targeted, but unless you are a millionaire who is intentionally going to displace some people, right? Like for the building you live in, for example, it's like the apartment you live in at some point was definitely like 2 apartments,
Oh yeah.
right? Or an apartment with like 2 big rooms or 2 big rooms and like a big living room. But they decided to extract as much value from people. So they took that apartment, the 2 apartments, or the one, broke it up to a bunch of rooms so that they could get people who needed roommates to come in.
Things are geared for roommates rather than for families. And the reason we're able to be on rent strike, for one, is because of information that came to light during a court case as a result of our landlord trying to pressure and essentially harass one of the tenants out of their unit so that he could nullify its the apartment what is it, rent stabilization aspect of it. And so by virtue of the landlord trying to price out and evict and do these nefarious acts of rehousing people who'd live there, actually kind of fucked himself over, because now we have certain documentation and information that nullifies his claim to collect rent on any unit in the building, which is fucking crazy. But again, it kind of comes down to, what is your intention in being in the space? Because admittedly, I like yuppie things. I like a smoothie place.
Yeah, but like a smoothie place and a place that sells juices and a place that has good pizza is not like gentrification.
No,
it's specific. People, when they see
people
gentrification,
chalk it up, and they'll chalk it up to like, oh, there's a new coffee shop here because
gentrification's already happened by that point.
Yeah,
when you see a coffee shop popping up, it's over.
That's because the supply is now reaching the demand.
Yeah, and it's like, and by the way, and again, obviously, maybe the people who are moving in should be like, but like reality, it's all exploitation. You make $100,000 a year, but like you can't buy a house. So like you look and you see, you like live in PA, you see that like in Brooklyn, there's like a really big fucking apartment, and you have a lot of money, so you can pay $6,000 a year. And the landlord is like, and you're like, that actually.
Wait, did you just say $6,000?
Sorry, $6,000. You can pay $6,000 a month, right? And
if I got an apartment for $6,000 a year,
that's not good. That's
my
not
God.
good. But like, if where you were looking for houses, the housing market, you couldn't get a house, right? You're thinking this is a good place to go.
Yeah,
it sucks, but the exploitation pits us against each other. So like, you're not Elon Musk. You are not a billionaire.
It's almost like this kind of artificial inflation is pitting working class people against each other, rather than and then the people above us are kind of just drawing these lines of like, well, actually,
and above us is not $1 million.
No.
Above us, to be fair, is not really $5 million. It feels like it is, but if you have $5 million in the bank, whatever job you have, you can likely lose that within a year.
If you got $5 million in the bank, send me money.
I'm about to say, send me some money.
Send me a fun bottle of gin. You got it. You got it like that.
That's why I want to, for my New York people, Zohran Mamdani is the mayoral candidate who is polling above Eric Adams but below Andrew Cuomo. His thing, I can't remember it all, but I remember 2 of the 3. His whole thing is, what are the 3 things? Freeze the rent, free childcare, and the third thing. I can't remember what the third thing is.
All I see is he wants you to have more money in your pocket, and
wants to
I'm
free-
fucking down with that.
He wants to freeze the rent. He wants childcare to be free. And he's a socialist. He's going to be running as a Democrat as the Workers' Fair Party in New York City. And probably he's likely going to lose to Andrew Cuomo because he's establishment.
Is he planning on bringing back stop and frisk?
No.
Then he's already better than the dude we have in charge now.
Who called? Wait, before we go, shit, we're
God.
there. He went on a press conference and he said that the Negroes who want me to step down, and then he went on the Al Roker and Good Morning New York, and Al Roker was giving him the hard questions. Al Roker was like,
Roker was roasting him? He got the Roker roast?
He did. Roker was like, so when you said, Roker was like, he's like, so who are the Negroes? I understand what you're saying. So I understand, but I keep asking you this question because you said during your speech, Negroes who want you to step down. Are you saying that all black people who don't support you are Negroes? I'm just saying, Al Roker, give me the finger snap, baby. Give me the finger snap. Because Al Roker was fucking giving Eric Adams the fucking business.
Fucking good.
The problem is that
Fucking
Andrew
good.
Cuomo can kind of be a creepy old white dude. Like,
Hey,
Andrew Cuomo did good things.
He's
Yes.
not just white, he's Italian.
Right, that's what Eric Adams literally can fucking go. I'm not mad. During the pandemic, he did a good fucking job doing little press conferences. Andrew Cuomo absolutely stepped up and tried to do a lot of positive fucking things for the state. But the reason I almost said Eric Adams is because they're the fucking same. They're the same neoliberal nonsense. It's like Andrew Cuomo made women in his workplace extremely uncomfortable, and yet he has people going, oh my God, well, maybe if he's good again. No. Fucking this guy, Zoran Mandani, has a name that I can barely pronounce only because I haven't heard him say it that much, and I'm reading it, and you don't know it, right? And if you read it, you might say it wrong. So you're thinking, I don't know about this guy. Please, fucking God, can we get somebody who wants to pause the rent and give free childcare to babies as opposed to wanting to kill children? It's like, oh yeah. Kill children and grope women or freeze the rent.
Give him free healthcare.
I'm just saying.
Have you met these Gen Alpha kids in New York? That's the other thing. I'm gonna make it brief.
Okay, we're wrapping it up.
But just all right, kids in New York, like kids who have been born and raised in New York, different fucking breed of child. Like
absolutely,
there is a certain like both ineptitude and complete overconfidence that happens with children who have been born and raised in New York, that it is haunting. And it's like you see them on the subway and you're like, I know you have more social, like, you know how to navigate these spaces way better than I can, but also you can't read. So like, fuck.
Yeah, they can't. You know what? It's fucked up. They can't read.
These fucking iPad kids, man. These pandemic kids, the fucking... Oh my God, it's just, and now I'm supposed to be like, the youth, like, New York used to have youths that would stab you, and now they're just gonna like be mean.
I'm so bad for you saying this because kids can't go to McDonald's or Flatbush and Fulton, and they can't go to the mall. You know what? If you want to hear more, if you can read,
if you can stomach more of this edgy content,
he's like, you know what? You know, these kids, they're dumb.
They're not
black.
No, I'm talking about these NYU kids.
I'm fucking with you. I'm sorry, I'm just messing with you. That's right.
Every time by the end of the episode, you're like, Chandler did something racist. And
no, he didn't. He didn't.
I didn't this time.
That's it. It's the end. We made it. We actually reached the end of the song. I'm gonna do it again. Just call me James.
And I've been Chandler.
Listen, if you want to hear more, if you want to have more fun, you know what to do, because we're here to have a good time. I still have some left. Good time, not a long time, but also a good time for others. You know how it goes. Drinking is not required,
but it is recommended.
And swish.